Welcome back. Overnight, President Trump posted on social media who he wants to succeed Gavin Newsom as next governor of California. He endorsed former Fox News host Steve Hilton, who is one of two Republicans still in the race. Now, despite the fact that Democrats vastly outnumber Republican voters in the state, we'll get to that in a minute, the conservative commentator has been leading in many of the polls. One of the reasons, well, there's 8 Democrats running, and they're sort of dividing and splitting up the vote. Steve Hilton joins me now. Steve, let's just jump right to the end. You win. You're governor-elect. But as I look at my numbers here, the California Assembly, 60 Democrats, 20 Republican. The Senate, 30 Democrats, 10 Republicans. If you are governor, would you have to compromise with them, and how would you go about that?
Well, I would be putting forward to them the same plan that I'm putting forward to the voters, which they will have chosen in the situation that you've outlined, which is totally positive and practical, not ideological, not particularly partisan. And here it is. We are going to make our state Cal-affordable. And here are the elements of that. $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half, your first $100,000 tax-free, a home you can afford to buy. And the reforms that are necessary for that will be in my first budget, which I send to the legislature. And I would hope, especially after all the lectures from Democrats about how much they care about our democracy, that they wouldn't want to undermine or overturn the will of the people who would have just voted for that. And so I look forward to working with them to implement the agenda that the people of California would have just voted for.
So partisan alignment is pretty structured in California, blue versus red, lopsidedly so. The Proposition 50 vote just held, 64 for favoring, 35-5 against. Was that not a sort of proxy for partisan orientation in California?
Not really, because that vote was a one-off special election over some obscure gerrymandering plan that was shoved together at the last minute, really, to promote Gavin Newsom's presidential campaign. It wasn't really about the issues that are driving people crazy in California. The fact that we've got the highest cost of living in the country, highest gas prices, electric, rent, taxes the highest for the worst results, housing costs the highest in the country, crime, homelessness, the schools are a disaster. Life is a real struggle for working people, in particular in California, for small business owners, as I've been most of my career. And so that's what this election is going to be about. And that's why I'm confident that we can win, even though, as you say, it's been a long time since a Republican's won statewide in California. It's actually 20 years. But we've got a couple of things that really help us this year with the Republican turnout. And top of that list is voter ID. There's a ballot initiative that will be on the ballot in November to require voter ID in California. That is something that Republicans are very enthusiastic about. So I'm confident that while it's not going to be easy to win against the Democrat machine, people are so sick of the nonsense in California that this could be the year when we provide a bit of a shock and a political revolution here in our Golden State.
Steve, let me talk to you about your Riverside County opponent, Republican Chad Bianco, who was on this program last week. And I asked him about you, and he said why he's better is because he has a lifelong, irrefutable record of public service and Republican conservative values. I'm quoting him now. And Steve Hilton does not. His views have completely changed for his own personal benefit or political benefit. How do you respond?
Well, I don't really know what he's talking about, but the real, you can read my views and see them. I don't think there's many people who've actually run for office with more of a public record of what they've been saying the years that I've been on the national stage in the media here in California. Before that, in business and in politics in the UK, I've written 4 books over the years, all with a very consistent theme, which is that we've got to put power back in the hands of the people. Big centralized bureaucracy is a disaster everywhere it's been tried. My parents were Hungarian and they were refugees from communism. So I was brought up in a working class household in England before moving here in 2012 with my wife and my sons. And I've been totally consistent about that. And all the things that I've argued, the reform, I worked for a while back in the day in the UK government. I was senior advisor to the Prime Minister. You could look at the reforms that I worked on there and helped to implement, all about pushing forward those common sense views on restraining the overmighty role of government in our lives. And so I don't really know what he's referencing there. But in any case, the real point is that we have to get united everyone who wants change in California. And it's not just Republicans, it's independents, many Democrats. We're doing town halls up and down the state, have been since the beginning of the year. Many Democrats are coming to those. People who voted for Kamala Harris and say, yeah, I used to be a Democrat and probably still am a Democrat, but we've got to have some change in California. 16 years of one-party rule. It's not healthy. Some balance is needed in our system. And so I'm interested in hearing what this Republican candidate has got to say.
Steve Hilton, I hope this is not the one and only conversation we have before November. You're always welcome back on the program. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
For sure. Look forward to it. Thank you.